How do I become a billionaire?
I think if you are ready for pain and suffering, then joy later, then you are ready for the journey. I mean, when I was young, I lost probably $100,000 when I was starting out.
$100,000 starting out. How well did you start?
I told you that the 1 trillion of Elon Musk is a lot of tithes. Many
For the
Christians
church.
for the church. So Elon Musk deserves to be blessed because he's produced a lot of tithes.
You won a big contract that got cancelled.
I won a big contract with cancellation. Actually, last year, I had a contract for about $15 million. I had promised my wife something.
Welcome to another edition of Mindset Profits. We are talking to someone really, really special. I was telling my friends that I'm coming to meet Benard Odote, and they said, how is it possible that you land in Kenya and you meet such big people? A man who is what is right, a dollar billionaire, not even Kenyan, right?
Yes. Yes.
This is exciting. This friend gave me a question to start the interview off, Mr. Benard. Before I just say welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Quite an honor to meet you again.
Thank you.
And have this interview. But my friend said the first question you should ask is, how do I become a billionaire? So please ask Benard that how do I become a billionaire? I want to be a billionaire.
You keep trying, you keep failing. you fail more than you succeed. And consistency, discipline, you avoid self-sabotage, you prepare for pain. It's a lot of suffering, a lot of pain. I've been in my office on a Saturday since 6 a.m. So that can be considered painful for most people, for other people, yes. And I was in the farm yesterday, the whole day, and after a series of meetings. It's a painful process of loss, of rejection. I was watching a video of sales saying that averagely a customer tells you no 4 times before they say yes.
Yes.
So,
the same customer tells you no.
Yes. So how do you win this guy? Iteration, learning. But more importantly, I think they should be prepared for pain. I think if you are ready for pain and suffering, then joy later, then you are ready for the journey.
It makes sense. I'll pick on a few things that you said in the list there. I remember Tony Robbins saying what he's seen as the difference between high performers and average people is high performers have the desire, have the willingness to put themselves through discomfort. They can train 10 times harder. They can practice 10 times harder.
Yes.
That willingness to put yourself through discomfort and pain, knowing that you're going for an outcome that's much bigger than everyone else.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes. Sports is a very clear illustration of players who start in the same level, and you ask yourself what's the difference, and you discover it's the discipline, is the training, and I don't think any training is interesting. You don't enjoy.
It's not fun.
It's not fun to build the muscles, but I also bring it down to real life, and I ask people to check their high school colleagues who are number 1 to 5, and just check how they lived. How did number 1 live? Probably he was alone always. How did number 2 and 3? Maybe they were competing number 1, and number 4 and 5 hoped to be in top 3. But they never related to number 6. But they woke up when they never missed early morning. And here we used to call it preps. They never missed review. We were very consistent. And other people had the opportunity to have fun. And even if you go to campus, where you are making your own decisions in campus, how do you get a first class? How do you get a top of class? Or anything you're doing, if best actor, if you check the lifestyle of those people, is what you'll consider painful. And there's really the sweet habits you choose. But that's that if you have to give them up. And of course there are losses. There's late nights, there's sleepless nights. Sometimes you didn't sleep for 2 days. Sometimes you land in the country at 4 and go straight to the office.
That has happened
many times. I was in another city. I got to Nairobi at 7 p.m. and I was in my office up to 9 p.m. and I was here at 6. So that's about the pain, but also the real pain of loss, rejection, losing money, losing contract, with real pain of competition, some known and unknown to you. I think the worst one is the unknown one. The known one is easier to deal with.
Or people who are competing with you and don't announce it.
And the competition is not necessarily they're competing product for product or service for service. Or someone has decided you'll never get a loan in this bank because they don't just like you. Someone will say you'll never get a contract in this government because they don't like you. For whatever reason, or maybe your spirit sort of ikes them the wrong way, or you're too bold. So there's always, like Dangote and his refinery, there's just too much that you'd think everybody will support him. You'd hope that the entire country, top to bottom, rally behind him. At least court cases, someone trying to say you must import fuel. Why must you import fuel? There's, I don't know, issues with the IMF, World Bank, government. So those are competition to Dangote. They are competing for the same thing he's doing. You can imagine what he has to go through to fend off regulators, fend off. So as much as
it doesn't stop, it doesn't get easier as you make more money.
As much as a $200 billion man, the pain of the regulator even closing the refinery one day, and you can imagine what it takes to open. The imagination of that is as painful as a startup losing 1 million shillings. So even where he is, he still goes through pain and suffering. But he has built the muscle and the tenacity and the wisdom, of course, to navigate.
Have you encountered a loss that almost broke you? One that shocked, that was so big that it scared you?
Every day. I mean,
what's one that's still top of my head?
I mean, when I was younger, I lost probably $100,000 when I was starting out, and I think that's
$100,000 starting out. How well did you start?
Remember, I said last time when you were working, you do your job so well so that, and also start doing your business, that you leave your job, you start your business to leave your job, and you grow in your career and use the income that you have in your career and the leverage you have in your career to build some cash flow. So if you are early on young and you're being paid, $8,000 or something a month, and at some point, maybe it was $20,000 or $30,000 off Mauritius tax-free, and you use that as what you'll be investing. And the unfortunate or the fortunate thing with entrepreneurship that you'll invest all of it, because and you're also not so clear, you don't have the wisdom, you've not done enough research. If you're starting, you don't know so well, so you're bound to make mistakes. So you plow it in and you lose it, and you don't know where to start. A second part is where, at a point, I had some issues with business partners, and we ended up in court. And I think I lost my house, I lost the car. I went back to stay with my cousin.
How old were you at the time?
Probably 28. And I went to stay with my cousin, but 2 weeks later, I'd made some money. It's very interesting because it was painful 2 weeks ago. I couldn't see the money I made 2 weeks later. I couldn't see it coming, but I was already in the process of doing that deal with someone else, and of course it didn't look like it's going to happen. Then I did it with a third party who sort of brought me back to my footing, got a small house somewhere, and bought an older car, started again. So sometimes it's very dark. I didn't think, I was wondering, do I go back to employment? How am I going to recover? I'm here with my cousin, staying in her house. It's my sister cousin. And almost blank, seeing darkness. Then at midnight, as a friend of mine, he lived in South Africa before, he's called Anthony SLI, reached out to me on WhatsApp and said, you have to help us do this show. And that was my first recovery. So it almost breaks you.
Friends, cousins, and a good job.
It's very unexpected, but you continue doing the work. I think in your darkest period, I think it's Kevin Griffin of Citadel that says, when you're going through hell, you keep on walking, and so you walk through it, so you come out on the other side. I think that's also the tough thing to do, that in your darkest seasons, and there are various dark seasons, and you'll never miss them in entrepreneurship. You just keep on walking. if you're negotiating a very big contract that even after you've won a big tender, say to build an airport or to build a railway, before you sign that contract and register that contract, the journey of negotiating that contract, even after the award, can be very dark.
Oh.
Yes, so how do you continue consistently? You won the contract, you have the award, but the award means nothing until you sign. And contracts can be cancelled. And we've seen contracts being cancelled.
You won a big contract that got cancelled.
I won a big contract that got cancelled actually. Actually, last year, I had a contract for about $15 million.
The numbers you
It was cancelled. It was to bring in a full vessel of rice. It was cancelled. And I think I'd done a P&L, and we were maybe at 40 or 30 something net, and maybe I had promised my wife something. And it got cancelled, but he continued life. Another bigger one, 10 times, is coming. And so that's it. And when that bigger one comes, it really dilutes the suffering that you've gone through. And that's the beauty of these things. In a previous interview, I said, if you get $1 billion shillings today, will you remember your problems since you were born? I mean, you'll go home and change your mom's house and change everything. And you become young. So if you're 75 years old, you become 40 immediately. And only that now...
You look young, you move young, you drive young.
Your blood pressure improves.
When you look at you, the young version of you, were you always driven? Because the funny thing, when I look at my life, I was slow, I was not driven, I was not looking at growth. It's something that came across me like 15 years ago. That reality that says actually life can be better than where you are and you can do life differently. When I talk to people like you, people like other young entrepreneurs who are inspired off high school and just driven to build, and I always wonder.
I think for me there's always a dark side in that I grew with a lot of trauma, so a lot of issues when I was young. So the only way to come out of that was to succeed. I was either remaining in the village to look after cattle or succeed. And the first part of success was education. I had to pass my primary school to go to high school, but I think the most important one was the high school. So you pass the high school so that you get government-sponsored education in the university. So I actually tell everybody that I work with who have children and who are struggling to pay their children's school fees. I request them I meet their children and tell them the gift you can give your mother is to pass that high school exam, get that government sponsorship. Because nobody really gave me money in the university. The government gave me money in the university. Beside my hustles, the school fees the university was paid by the government. So once I passed that high school, and I knew that I needed money to also survive in the university. Just after high school, I went to teach. I went to a local secondary school. I taught chemistry and geography. They paid me, I think, $30 a week.
That's what you're using when you're at university?
No, then I went to do many things before university. The university I went at like $15,000 going to the university. So I did music. I was working with a record label in Mombasa called Tabasam Records. Hassan Majid and Babli Omar.
Was all of this not distracting you from your studies? Were you still passing?
In life, if you don't have a lot of self-sabotage issues, if you don't have a lot of time-consuming issues, dancing at night, drinking, road trips, gossip, meetings, if you don't have a lot of these things that take your time, you have a lot of time. This is what people forget. People think you're doing too much. But I say, just because I was not in the bar with you or in the club with you. So when you're in the bar, I was doing this. When you are sleeping, I was sleeping. Assuming everybody sleeps for 8 hours, then the question is, what about the other hours? So in life, you can do a lot. You can do extremely a lot. Am I not here now?
Yeah.
Where are other people?
It's a weekend.
So it just depends on what you want to achieve. Imagine the marathon winners in this country. I'm sure today they have been practicing since last morning, but their friends or the manager was in the club yesterday. So you can't. the marathon guy deserves what he is getting. So you can do a lot in life. In the university, you have days you don't have a class. Full day, you don't have a class. So how do you allocate that?
For many kids, it's a time to relax.
Yeah, but how do you allocate that time? There's time to hustle, time to go sell for people. I used to do, for these research companies, I go ask people questions, they pay me, I don't know, 1,000 shillings per questionnaire or something like that.
Okay.
But those things still exist. So you just approach them and they will give you the job. But because nobody's approaching them, so the crowd is always small. So you always there's opportunity for university students to do a lot with their time. And then you have long holidays when the university is closed for, I don't know, 100 days or 4 months. What will you be doing in long holidays?
So you were sailing during those times?
Sell, ride an Uber, ride boda, do it something.
You've done all of these things.
There was no Uber and boda, but I'm sure if there was boda, I'll be selling and I'll be riding. And now you can buy a boda for 15,000 shilling deposit.
The motorbikes, yeah.
Yes, the motorbike. So you do 15,000 shilling deposit. And what people didn't know that 42% of the motorbikes in Kenya are owned by women.
Oh.
As passive income. So you give her the bonus, or she pays 15,000 shillings deposit, maybe 150,000 for 10 motorbikes, gives you someone to ride who pays daily and also pays the repayment for the finance. So that can be done.
That's what's happening now. There's a lot of motorbikes. You know, in South Africa, they're not there as transport.
In South Africa, you're ahead in the public transport in certain areas. But here in Uganda, it's quite a bit. In Uganda,
And Rwanda.
I haven't been Rwanda too many times, but in Uganda, there are more than people.
Yeah, in Rwanda, there's a lot of them as well. That surprises me.
But it's a transition career. You can do the boda or do for Glovo or do a taxi. You can be a salesperson. I mean, there's a lot of construction going on. And I'd assume if I walked into all those construction sites, I'll take a demand of what they are buying and go to a hardware and make a deal with them. And say, be a link between the hardware and, I don't know, let's come up with something.
So you kept coming up. At what point did you start realizing that I'm a good entrepreneur? Because I think this was character building in you doing all these side hustles and ventures at university. But when did you start feeling like, you know what, I'm good at this and I'm going to go far with this?
I think when I did the project for East African Crude Oil Pipeline with a team in Tanzania and then a team in Uganda.
Were you still in university?
Then I was actually now working for someone. I think I was working for AC Johnson or the brewery. I'm not sure who I was, but I had friends in the Ministry of Energy in Tanzania who needed to figure out how the local Tanzanians would benefit from the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. And I had also a mentor who was positioning to do a lot of work in that pipeline. So I was putting it together from a localization perspective. And what would that mean for business in that area? And of course, positioning his company. And just the ability to think of what is the possible outcomes for 1,000 kilometers for people across that line, maybe 100 meters radius, 100 kilometer radius. What could they do with that line? And seeing what is possible businesses. So that we did very well. Then you realize you can come up with things, you can solve problems, identify problems and provide solutions.
So you were in full-time employment when you were doing this. They approached you knowing
this is a consulting. I met them in Tanzania when I was working for Diageo in Tanzania. So, but I had registered my company 1 year into my employment, the House of Procurement.
So you always knew?
So yes, I always worked with my laptop and my iPad. The iPad was my company, the laptop was and I was single then, and so after 5 p.m. everybody left the office. I lived behind the office. I stay back and I work on House of Procurement and a lot of work in House of Procurement was just to research who else does this thing in the world, how do they do it. It was mostly consulting at that point, Accenture, Bravo Solutions, so the big 5, big 6 consulting firms. So it's to study, copy what they are doing, see how it relates with what you are doing for your employer then. And then crafting according to your own thinking and perception what your solutions will be. So when you go pitch to these people, you say, I think you can change this in your business. we can change this in terms of making better your procurement and supply chain. And I'll do that for anybody I met. So as long as you run a business, you own the business, I'll do it for. So I had consulting gigs while employed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked ChatGPT about your businesses. The list is long. I was curious to see what are the businesses that Benard is attached to. The list is quite long.
They're quite integrated. We focus on 6 pillars. And one is supply origination, which is making what people want available, whether through sourcing, trading, manufacturing and assembly, plus logistics. The other one is healthcare, very important for us, cost of healthcare. We are building programs around that with a group in Egypt called Yodawi and a few local partners. Retail is an important business for us. Bulk retail, sort of Costco, but done in our own way. Okay. Digital and then eventually physical. Where we are working with a few distributors here and a supermarket, Quickmart. Then we have asset disposal, where I have my partners, WH Auctioneers from South Africa. We own the East African business 50-50. We've disposed the base titanium mining factory in the coast, and we're disposing a few more factories. So anybody with an idle asset, as long as the asset doesn't give you money, it is denying you an opportunity to earn interest on the value of that asset, and potentially even borrowing while you have an asset of value. So we do asset disposal, and I'm also a licensed government disposal agent. I can dispose on behalf of government.
Even hazardous stuff?
No, just something that has a secondary market and has value on it. Okay. When you know you're locking value, I think hazardous stuff is you're disposing, you don't expect money from it. For us, we're looking at electronics, furniture, factories, land, buildings, equipment, construction equipment, machinery, all this, scrap metal, anything.
Okay.
There are people, corporates that bought a lot of land. Government, for example, of Kenya probably has 5 trillion shillings worth of assets and probably 2 trillion shillings worth of debt.
Okay.
So universities here have billions of assets and millions of debt, and they're struggling. But we have factories that have assets like 20 billion, where they only need working capital of 2 billion, but they can't dispose the assets. So we try to educate as well, because it's also balance sheet optimization and cash flow. So we have that, and technology is the other one that we have. Tech sort of cuts across everything, and now we are creating an innovation hubs because we are always thinking of ideas. We are always solving problems. Sort of blessed with ability to solve complex issues or abstract thinking. So tech becomes a very important part of scaling those ideas, or validating them, or creating trust around them. And finally is finance. So we have a micro-lending organization. We're in the process of acquiring a microfinance bank. And finance is important, so we will scale that finance sector as we grow into a full bank, into a full income engines. We have something called Mapato Max, which is an income engine for hustlers and small traders.
What's your thinking process when you're deciding whether or not to invest in a business venture that's going to grow? Like, how do you look at a business and say, I'm going to go into that sector and this is going to grow?
Essentiality. We call it as essentiality, viability, and impact. Is it essential? Do people need it? Does anybody need this thing? If it was made available, will they pay for it? So food is essential. So it's the most obvious one. Healthcare is essential. Think of education is essential. Anybody investing in transport is essential. Communication of any form is essential. Entertainment, bars, restaurants, hotels, essential.
Demand doesn't run out.
The demand doesn't run out. So if you're going to think of the essentiality, whatever sector of that thing, it could be B2B, C2B, B2C. Does it impact lives? Does it impact livelihoods? And then, of course, if the competition, the lay of the land, that for Africa, a lot of things are still not essential, things are still not available. Even with technology.
So it's a big opportunity.
Big opportunity. Irrigation, for example, we're only irrigating 2% of our land. In Israel, I think it's 98% or whatever it is. But we are at 2%. Pivot irrigation, South Africa has the second highest number of pivots but I was told Egypt might have passed South Africa. Number of pivot in the world after the US, of course, which has, it means they are not leaving the agriculture to weather issues. So we call it weather certainty. So in our heart, we want to create irrigation as a service for pivot and drip to not leave weather to dictate how much you produce. But if we go back to that production, in SA, you will do 5.5 tons of maize per acre. In Kenya, it's about 1.7. So what's the issue here? So if we did the SA variety and we did 5.5 ton, for the same size of land, we've multiplied 5 times our output. So what do you do for that home, for that family, for that business, for our raw material availability? So those are essential things and those moves. So if we just did that, we've already multiplied by 5. If we did irrigation, we've moved weather as a risk. And agriculture becomes a very important sector. And you can think of healthcare and think of another thing in healthcare. The key thing that we look at is the demand, the constraint. What is the constraint in this thing? If we control the constraint, then...
Like why can't many people break through? What's stopping?
What's stopping, or what do people in that sector need most? So
okay.
Yes, so for example, if you're in a brewing of beer, your constraint is barley. So if I owned all barley, yeah, so I have to think of you, because otherwise I'll be talking to a lot of CEOs to negotiate with them. But instead of talking to the brewery owner, I just own the barley. So he has to talk to me. So that's also one way of thinking about essentiality, the constraints. Fragmentation is another issue we have in Africa. Everything is fragmented. Consumers are fragmented, supply is fragmented, finance is fragmented. So aggregating this fragmentation to create one strong unit across is an important thing. So I would say M-Pesa has sort of aggregated and a fragmented area. So there are many fragments. Think of healthcare. You pay for your own medicine on your own. Across any payer of healthcare pays on their own. Even insurance companies pay on their own. But the same thing. Why are they paying on their own? So how can we aggregate that demand so that now the demand of every payer, including when you pay for your relative, the demand sits on one side. On one side now we look at supply and say, if you want this, then we need this and this and this and this. So that's how we think.
That is the billionaire mind good. Right. So I kind of get how you go around selecting a company. Have you ever had a company that didn't grow? I'm curious to know what the reason was.
We closed many companies. It was a company that only depended on government tenders, and we actually won the tender, but it's too much competition, small group, too much. It's just too much. So no need to we scramble for contracts like that. And our thinking is to be in business that is not being controlled by an individual or an entity or a seat or an officer
who might decide, I don't like you anymore.
Yes, we want to be in business that changes lives. We say access changes lives. So that failed. Other businesses we started were not well resourced.
Okay.
The businesses for which we want to go back to in terms of growing seed for many seed companies, we had a dispute on the land that distorted us, but it's a wonderful business, and we're now securing land properly. If on lease, 45-year lease, clear, irrigation, so that we go back to that seed business. We still have a good relationship with the partners, and it's a high margin business. So you overlook one thing here, you are not well resourced here, it is too much cutthroat, too much one-man show in terms of decision making to give you that order.
So those are the signs, the red flags.
Yes, and also maybe it's not your core. There are also places where it's not your core, you are just excited about it and someone enticed you. So for our core is it essential? Can it live a life of its own? If it's not essential, it is not impacting. If there's no demand, if made accessible, if there's no gap, we don't touch it.
Okay.
So our mandate is to make essentials accessible, affordable, and sustainable at scale. So this essential must be answered first before we come to that business.
How do you split yourself in mindset and time allocation? Because you've got all these businesses, all of them need attention somehow, because many people fail to manage one. You've got like a portfolio to manage.
No, it's a gift, but it's not only in business. How does the Safaricom CEO manage Safaricom? How many departments? How many? Even if he has only a few direct reportees, but he can't assume he doesn't know a safety issue happening somewhere. He has to know a safety issue. There's certain issues like safety that are serious, like a manufacturing company or a mining company. Safety becomes very easy. But probably the safety manager or head of safety is not reporting to them. It may be a chief operating officer reporting. So I would say it's not so easy, but certain people are gifted. So people become executives in big conglomerates are gifted to be able to separate the signal and noise.
Okay.
And just focus on the signal. You heard we have 6 pillars, so we focus on those 6 pillars. And as you grow, building a team is important. Talent is perhaps the most critical thing in any business is talent, so that whoever is running the finance company is reliable. Is just another owner, effectively, is an owner of that business. So if you see big conglomerates and you look at the marketing director, they really own that division, and you identify marketing for that company with that person. So talent is a very, very critical thing. Then it enables you to focus on what matters most, whether it's business development, whether it's resourcing the business, whether it's solving any issues that might be there, compliance or litigation, whatever it is. That effectively there will be few things that matter as the business grows. But also, as an innovator, you are gifted in innovation, and you can think of so many things. And I said we now want to create a hub where different founders can pick our ideas. We'll own a portion of it, maybe resource it if we can. But since we are gifted to think and solve problems, the founder will see that idea and run with it and execute. So it's not perfect. You learn as you go to prioritize, to kill others, reduce distractions, take no new ideas. But if you're an innovator, you also have the time for innovation, like the weekends, in the evening. But then how do we bring these ideas to life, just not sketching them? Let's create a Y Combinator of sorts to move it forward, yes.
If I look at the way you've committed your time to this business and growing the business, do you see a difference in how hard you have to work now compared to when you are starting? I know Bill Gates used to pull 12 to 18-hour days for a while. He had no weekend, he had no Christmas, he had no holiday for years. And then got to be changing a little bit later. But have you seen a change in how hard you work compared to when you started?
I think using Gates as an example, I believe if he remained in an executive role in Microsoft or any of the companies he owns, he would still be doing 12 hours. Maybe not 18, but he would still be doing 12 hours. And I still think he does 12 hours in terms of the things he's innovating around those nuclear energy, I don't know, mosquitoes that are solving.
You think he's still doing the 12?
He's still doing the 12 hours because it's not about the hours, it's the outcome he's looking for, the output. So he's now trying to solve different problems, which I think are probably even more complex because he has to come with more innovations, different partners globally. The only thing you have is the flexibility, not really the freedom. I don't think at a certain level you have is that he could work in Nigeria. He could be working his jet. He could work in another country. So he has the flexibility, not the freedom to say, I'm not going to work, I'm going to relax. And once you have the bag and the desire to solve problems, you'll always keep on pushing. So maybe not 18 hours, because now the teams expand, you focus on a few core areas, but also not 8 hours. You know, to be an 8. But the days you can decide not to work. But not working doesn't mean you're not working. You could still check your phone and see your emails, but maybe you're not in an office. Maybe you could be in a beach somewhere. So that flexibility is important, and I think it's the only thing an entrepreneur gets. You don't get the freedom.
Do you ever switch off, like relax?
No. I relax, I don't switch off. Switching off is dangerous. And when I relax is when I think, imagine of the ideas that come to people. Many people tell you the song came in the bathroom, the idea came in the bathroom. Were they supposed to switch off in the bathroom? No. So you don't switch off, you relax. So when they are relaxed and having a nice shower, or in the gym when you are on the
Working out,
something comes. So clearly you have not switched off in the gym. Yes.
How do you process people leaving you though? Some people that come work with you, you are happy with their performance, they grow, you train them, you invest in them, and then they get another opportunity and leave.
Separation is part of progress, and every employee should seek to leave. Yes.
Okay, I can't believe you say that.
Yes, every employee should seek to leave. Even the most senior employee in this country should seek to leave. They should always be seeking. The only way the employee is doing the best for me is when someone else is looking to hire them, when they are really marketable. An employee is not marketable should not to fool themselves that they are of any. If you are of value to the market, you are value to the employer. The employer then will work on that thing called retention. So whichever big conglomerate, the employee, why would you like to retain the employee? If you did a retention test or keep me test, why would I want to retain him? If you hesitate, then you know you don't need to retain them. But if 3 people are headhunting them or giving them offer letters, then you work on a retention plan. Say this one we have to retain, we'll give a shareholding, we'll give a bonus. So for me, the employee that doesn't seek to grow and live is a danger. It's a risk because then, especially the senior ones, of course, there are different roles that I don't expect you to kill yourself. Now it's up to your personal decision on what you want to be in life and how to skill yourself and grow in your career. But if you have these mid-senior, very senior executive roles, you must want to replace your CEO. If you're in a bank, for example, go to another bank or go become an expatriate. Otherwise, you will be complacent, and complacency is not only dangerous for you, but also for the business.
So this is not something that gives you pain?
No. If you
were you always like that? So it's something you grew into?
I left. I worked for probably 6 companies in 8 years. I worked for Safaricom for 3 months. Then I joined East African Breweries for 1.5 years. Then I went to Nestle for 7 months. Then I went back to the brewery for 2.5 years. AC Johnson maybe 6 months.
So you don't judge them because you were doing it?
No, because if you are in demand, you're in demand. If footballers, how do they move? They say, I want to win in England, then win in Spain, then win in Italy. Then now they're in Saudi Arabia or the US for Messi, for example. So footballers have a journey that for you to be a great footballer, you'll have paid in Germany for Bayern, or in Spain for Real and Barcelona, or in the top 4 in England, or in France in the top 1. And then you can retire maybe in Saudi or MLS. So that's the journey. So you can, because that's a different process, because you develop over a period of time. In career, even if you say it's 3 years, if you say every 3 years, I'll be making a decision whether I take a new offer or stay. It's still a new offer, because if your current employer promotes you, it's a new offer. Because they give you a new letter, a new offer, or even if they give you a new salary, they give you a new letter. Or if you have someone hunting you. So every 3-4 years, you should get a new offer from someone. If you're not getting a new offer from someone, then
something is wrong
somewhere. And you should demand that from yourself that you get a new offer. But it's all depends on the person, the choice they make on what they and who they want to become.
What's your reading routine? Because you are dropping numbers and stats, and some of them South African stats that I didn't even know about.
So learning so I have a lot of books. Maybe last year I bought almost 1,000 books.
Whoa!
So, of course,
with the intention of reading?
Yes, I read
all of them.
Minimum 10 pages a day. Of course, if I have time.
So that becomes the routine?
Yes.
Minimum 10
pages a day. I have a podcast every day. I watch a lot of podcasts also on YouTube. So
okay.
I don't need to watch the podcast. I can listen to it while doing something else. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I have mentors I listen to. I call them. I don't call. I ask a lot of questions to understand. And now with the AI, once you tell me something about agriculture in South Africa, quickly I research it and I get the answer instantly. I note the important matrices. also subscriptions to Financial Times, Bloomberg. Those things give you insights to what's happening. So Bloomberg Africa, for example, you'll be able to see what's happening across Africa, across businesses, CNBC. So
you subscribe to all of them. Are
Yes.
you the one actively reading, or you give a team to say, read and tell me what's important?
No. You read. There's nobody who can interpret for you because they also don't know. Their role is their role. Unless I hire someone for just reading for me. But I watched and if does Jamie Dimon interviews. He reads 5 papers in the morning. Even Charlie Manga, the late Charlie Manga, even Buffett, they read papers in the morning. But now you can listen to the paper. You can
you drive.
as you drive, or even if you're answering emails, you put Financial Times and you can listen to the articles. So if the articles are on business or commerce or Strait of Hormuz, if that's what you want to hear, you just choose and listen. All these things now learn you, and they know what you want. They know how you think. Yeah.
So when I listen to you, I feel like there will be people listening to how you live your life and learn and move and feel like, this is a difficult life.
It is a difficult life. It's a difficult life. It's a difficult life to be a CEO of a bank. It's a difficult life to be a president of a country. It's not an easy life. Imagine how you are responsible for everything. For entrepreneurship, you're responsible for the life and death of your company. And we have a desire to employ as many people. For a CEO of a company, you're responsible for the P&L, the balance sheet. And if you're a CEO of a top company, you can be fired anytime. And it will be difficult to get another job if you are a CEO being paid $2, $3, $4, $10 million a year. It will be difficult to find another job, especially if you are fired. And the presidents of the country, the destiny of children not yet born are in their hands. It's a difficult thing, if physically, mentally, spiritually, because then when you die, you tell the man upstairs, what did you do with the mandate I gave you? In every role, president, CEO, entrepreneur, or even as a father. It's not an easy life, yes.
I think we can cap it off there. What has been the role of your faith in this equation and in this journey?
And my faith is everything. Because when it is tough, you want someone you can go seek hope. When you make mistakes, you want someone who can forgive you unconditionally. So, because not in life, probably there's only one unconditional love. I know we say our children love us unconditionally, but when they grow, they start putting conditions, including, because you brought them here. But that unconditional love that you find in God, in Christ, for those who are Christians, when things are very tough, you just listen and keep quiet. And also the ideas for me, who is an innovator and a thinker, my ideas are very abstract, so they are not necessarily mine. So I believe the Holy Spirit is very responsible for my ideas and for protection. There's a lot of things out here, so I need to have unseen bodyguards around me, and also for promotion, opening of doors, fighting obstacles. So I'm a deep believer, and to top it all, my excellence is to show what God is capable of doing. So
that's what drives you.
So my testimony is on the outcome, and I told you that the 1 trillion of Elon Musk is a lot of tithe many Christians for the church. So Elon Musk deserves to be blessed because he's produced a lot of tithe, a lot of giftings. Because if you are donating and gifting, if you thought of all these companies, people who have donated and gifted, people who have given tithe since he started doing business, if we could quantify that, he should go to heaven first. Odote should follow next.
Is there anything that you're doing to give back?
I'm close to the recovery industry for addiction. I'm close to single mothers. I'm focused on people who have internal things inhibiting their performance.
Okay.
So addiction for various things, single mothers who feel deficient, children out of wedlock who feel deficient, This is very close to me because those are silent killers. Men who are normal, the normal corporate man who goes out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and never grows and doesn't know that life has become his master, or another lifestyle has become his master. So how do we break that yoke? So for me, if we can impact those silent killers, trauma, addiction, and particularly men and single mothers, then you impact the society. If men are performing and they're not self-sabotaging, so that's how we give back.
Are you working with foundations?
We're working with a lot of treatment centers and churches. That's how we want to focus. We want to push our collaboration mostly on churches. But to me, the church is a social government. You have too many churches. You have a church closer to you than a police station. So if we can find the proper churches that can work with us, because the community is near the church. When someone is beaten, even domestic violence, it's easier to run to the church. So we need to equip those churches to handle such things. Homeless people, we need to be able to equip those churches to handle, from health to accommodation to emergency centers. This is our vision. So instead of building emergency centers independently, we build them around the churches, treatment centers. People don't understand addiction or what a single mother is going through or what a man is going through, but we understand how to unlock trauma, how to give power back to people. We know people who feel deficient and how to remove that deficiency and show them that you are capable. But the church just preaches gospel, and a colleague of mine told me yesterday that the church is a pit stop. You go there for 2 minutes for service. The real work happens on the road.
When you leave.
On the truck, when you leave. So you don't go to the church to do the work. You go to the church for service, and then you go to the truck. So now how do we complement the church by helping to put the vehicles back on the track on the journey of life?
That is powerful. You are not too far from your goal, the $1 billion. What do you think will change after?
Now, nothing much. We just want now 10 billion. So
also from there, the goalpost is shifting to 10.
I mean, you saw Dangote the other day when he was asked about 38 and he said, no, too low, it's 40. And then he saw Femi on $10 say it is 200. So you can see the syndrome is there of saying, because it's too much work and it's too much pain. But you can only impact more when you have more resources. So I encourage my staff early in the year to look into the mirror and say, I want 1 billion shillings. I want to make 1 billion shillings. And I encourage everyone to say, I want to make 1 billion of whatever currency. I don't know. I think 1 billion in all currencies, in some currencies is not good.
I think the $1 billion sound, it hits different.
we can benchmark on 1 billion shillings, Kenya shillings. It's $10 million. $10 million is not so bad to say I want $10 million. Because at some point at $10 million, if you wanted to go to book a private jet, you could book it. Or fly first class, you can do it. So I said, I will get $10 million in this number of years.
There's something you told me about that. You said because the pain you go through to make 1 billion is the same as the pain you go through to make 10 billion. So why not go for 10?
It's like applying for a loan. They ask you for the same paperwork. For 10 million shillings, the same paperwork, they'll ask you for 1 billion shillings or 100 billion shillings. So, and at 100 billion shillings, you're a bank partner. And 10 million shillings, you are dispensable. So, so why not go through that painful journey? And you cannot become what you've not seen. You cannot become what you've not imagined. Many people who want to be presidents, even in our next election, have never said, I will be president. They even fear saying they are going to be president. Even if you look at their movement, they are not bold enough, aggressive enough to say, I am going to be president of this country. I can bet the current president said he'll be president when he was very young, and he always knew. So you cannot become what you've not seen. You have to see yourself as a president of this country already, even when you're 11 years or 30, whatever the first time you saw it, then you become. So you cannot make $10 million if you cannot imagine it.
I wanted to say amen. This is powerful. Thank you. As we close, I think last question from you. What would you like to be remembered for? If someone watches this video 100 years from now.
That everything I did was for the glory of God. That's it. And the glory of God shall show itself. By the time I die, I think if we look at the things we will do and what we are ordained, what we are aligned to and assigned to do, everything with the glory of God. And the glory of God is for the happiness of the people. So if we can change the country, change life, change livelihood, use some of our ideas to support governments, support foundations, DFIs, to ensure people's lives change, then I think the glory of God shall have come.
Now I can say, Amen. See you in the next episode.